What's up, guys? This is the Essential Sports Podcast, and I'm Josiah Clark, and we're here with a special guest, Andy, today. You guys should be familiar with Andy as he has been on a prior podcast of ours. Today we're going to be talking about UFC and just UFC, so it's going to be a little shorter video. We'll start it off here. It's going to be UFC 287. We got Israel Adesanya against Alex Pereira for the middleweight title. Andy, what's your thoughts on this?
I'm gonna go Izzy. Didn't he? This is the dude he lost to when he was kickboxing, right?
Yeah,
Or
he lost to
am I
him
wrong on
twice during kickboxing, and then they fought a
Yeah.
few months back, and
And he just knocked him out, right?
yeah, he knocked him out in the 5th round.
Pereira's had his most success to the body tonight.
He
Here's
hurt
that
him.
left hook.
He hurt him bad.
Oh, and now a right. Adesanya's on one
Oh, my
leg.
God.
Two more. Down goes the champion. Pereira trying to close
my
the
God.
show.
That's
That'll
it.
do it.
He did.
Ooh, I'm still gonna go Izzy.
Yeah, and it's crazy because his entire time being in the UFC, he's never been an underdog. And even this fight, he's still not an underdog after being down, 3-0 to this guy, which I think's crazy to me that he's still a favorite. But, I mean, people respect him and that kind of stuff. So, I think it's going to be a good fight. I have all my predictions for all these fights jotted down, and I have Adesanya by round 4 KO, which people are going to be like. But in an interview, they were talking to Adesanya, and he said that he almost had him in that first round, which he did. If he had 15 more seconds, he might have put him out. But he said in this interview that he's just going to have to push the pace more and be more aggressive.
Like, imagine what if I get it done? What if I get it done better than he's ever done it? What if I butcher him and beat the fuck out of him? Because I always do, but I just ramp it up now. And I don't let him get any breath, and I take him out. I put him on his back. We'll find out. I do all this shit, and I beat his ass, do some damage to him, and it's just like, wow, amazing. Like I said, I don't keep score. I settle them.
So I'm thinking he's talking about those last 2 rounds that he lost. So I'm thinking round 4 KO, book it.
Oh, jeez. I don't think I'd ever go against Adesanya.
Yeah, he's just too
Like, no matter what fight he's in, it's like there's no way I'm thinking Adesanya's losing.
right, and his fight IQ so high compared to other fighters that it's just hard to. He's got to have a game plan that's so detailed for this fight. In that same interview he was talking about, this is like I think it's so funny. He was saying it's like Eminem and 8 Mile, that you only got one shot.
Like, in every movie, that you're one shot. This is my Eminem moment, my 8 Mile moment, You get one shot, do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. And this is it. This is it for me. This is like...
And I thought that was funny because he said 3 shots. This is his 4th shot. He said, this is how I'm going into the fight, as if I only have one shot. I'm like, okay. But Pereira said that after he knocks out Adesanya, since the UFC just did that deal with the WWE, that he'll send Adesanya to WWE where he belongs. Which is so funny, especially since the dude doesn't speak English, but he's trying. He's trying to speak English. But
Yeah, I honestly haven't seen. How do you say Pereira?
yeah.
I haven't seen him fight much. I mean, he doesn't have he's not like a novice, but he hasn't fought much in the UFC.
Yeah,
I don't think.
I think that was his 3rd fight in the UFC, or no, it was his 4th fight in the UFC. But yeah, 7-1 as a champ. That's like you never really see that. Besides, like when the UFC first came out and all these people winning championships were like, oh, it's making their pro debut. So that's crazy within itself, but yeah. I also think it's This is totally off topic, but this is basically about the same thing about him like not speaking very like barely any English. Is I always wonder because obviously I don't speak Portuguese or Russian or Chinese or Japanese or Korean or any of these people in the UFC that don't speak English, and they have their translators, and I'm always wondering, I'm like, is this actually what they're saying, or are these translators just
Yeah,
mixing it up a little bit? I'm like,
I do think about that too.
yeah, because you get these people and they're getting interviewed, and the way they're talking, they sound like all mad and stuff, and then they go over to the interpreter, and he's like, yeah, like I just thought it was like a really good fight, and like thank you to all the fans. I'm like, there's no way that's what he said.
Yeah,
There's no
and
way.
then the dude who doesn't speak English has no idea if he's
Yeah,
translating
he's
it
just
well.
sitting there
So
like
it's like,
this,
yeah,
pretty much. Um, but the next fight on this card we got is Gilbert Burns versus Jorge Masvidal, which is gonna be a banger, I think.
yeah,
Uh, maybe not though. At the same time, I feel like it's either gonna be a really good war, like a 3-round war, or Gilbert Burns is just gonna dominate him.
yeah. That's tough for me. And this is gonna sound crazy. Like I love watching Izzy fight, but I'm more interested in the Gilbert and Jorge fight.
Hmm.
Like I know that's crazy. I'm a huge Masvidal fan,
Yeah.
and it's definitely a tough one for me because like my older brother's wife asked me, I think 2 days ago, who I have in the fight, and this is like how it is for every fight. I'm like, who I want to win, or if I had to put money on who I think's gonna win,
Right.
because I always
There's two.
like I never
Yeah, there's two different answers for
yeah
that most of the time.
like I think Gilbert will probably win. I want Masvidal to win really bad,
Right.
but also you never know with Masvidal. He could go out there and just knock him out, or he could go out there and just get dominated the whole fight.
Right.
He either dominates or gets dominated. There's no in between.
Yeah, I honestly don't see a side where you're talking about Jorge, right?
Yeah,
I don't see a side where he really dominates because I don't know what he brings to the fight that can be like pure domination. Whenever I think of like people getting like dominated, it's either they're just picking the person apart the entire fight. Like for example, you got Cody Garbrandt against Dominic Cruz. Like that was
yeah,
domination
that
and
was a fun fight.
striking. But when I usually think
Yeah,
of
that
like
was a
someone
fun
getting
fight.
dominated, it's usually a lot of wrestling and they're just like
Like
gassed by
Kamaru Usman.
yeah. Like he dominates most of the people he fights that's names aren't Leon Edwards. Uh
Yeah, which is crazy.
yeah, which is that's crazy too because I would have never thought it's like coming into that first fight that Leon would win, and especially after watching that first fight, didn't think he was gonna win the second fight, and he dominated him standing up, which was fun to watch. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah. And do
I
you know
wasn't a big Usman fan.
you're not?
Oh, I was gonna say I've never been a big Usman fan. I don't really like because it's just boring to watch. Like I know it's like domination, and some people are like into that. But like I've always rooted against Usman, and I watch every Usman fight, and then every time I root against him, and then just watching him over and over again, I kind of grew like a little bit of respect for him, and I was like, nobody's ever gonna beat him.
Yeah, I was like,
Like
this
he's just too
dude's
good.
this dude's different. This dude's
Yeah,
it was.
I don't
I
like
think
him,
it.
but
I think it
nobody's gonna
started
beat him.
changing when he started knocking people out.
Yeah,
Cause
that's when I
that
started respecting him. When he knocked Jorge out, I was like,
and bad, knocked him out.
yeah. That
Bad.
was the first time that Masvidal's been knocked out too.
Yeah, and that I don't think anybody was expecting that. No.
No, not at all.
Yeah, and speaking of like stuff that's he's only been or the last time he was submitted wasn't even in the UFC and it was by an inverted triangle, which was insane. So when I was coming through and making my predictions, I was like, Burns by submission. I was like, no way. When Damian Maia was talking about Jorge Masvidal, he said he had some of the best jiu-jitsu defense he's ever fought against, and Damian Maia is like top tier for jiu-jitsu in the UFC. So when after like hearing that kind of stuff, I was like, I don't know if he'll submit him. So for this fight, I got Gilbert Burns round 2 TKO. Whether that's just Masvidal gets stuck in a bad spot on the ground and just can't like advance or defend himself is more of what I'm thinking. I don't think he gets dropped and finished.
I was gonna say, you think Masvidal goes out that easy?
Yeah,
TKO round 2.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think he goes out easy by any means, but I could see him, get taken down and get put in like a crucifix, and he just can't get out of it, and he's just getting elbowed. I don't see him getting submitted. I don't know. Gilbert Burns to me is one of those guys that, even though he already had his title shot and he got TKO'd by Usman, I still feel like he's kind of like still a dark horse of the division.
I agree. Burns is insanely strong.
Right.
That's one thing. It's like I think Jorge's. I think obviously the better striker. I think Jorge is number 1, if not like top 3 striking in the UFC, just straight stand-up striking. And I go back and I watch the Masvidal Nate Diaz fight all the time. Like his striking in that is insane.
It is.
But like when Gilbert he's just so strong that it's just like he's not gonna let you just arm distance find your range and just keep striking him.
Yeah.
At worst, he's gonna grapple you. He's gonna push you around. Like,
yeah, no, for sure. And when I was making these picks, I was thinking of Masvidal, and I was like, who has he beat? Like, who's he beat? There's his last. I can't even. Who has he beaten that's still even in the UFC? Because he beat Nate Diaz, no longer in the UFC. He beat Ben Askren, no longer in the UFC. Darren Till cut. And I can't even go on from there. I can actually probably look that up real quick.
got destroyed by Colby.
Yeah, got destroyed by Colby.
Which was a very disappointing fight.
Beat Cowboy. Cowboy is no longer beat Jake Ellenberger, Ross Pearson. Like, none of these guys are still fighting. And like Jake Ellenberger 31-15, Ross Pearson 20-16, beats Cowboy Cerrone 36-17, beats Nate Diaz 22-13, beats Ben Askren. I mean, he's 19-2, but come on, like,
how does that even happen? That's an insane record.
Yeah, he's 19-2.
How does that happen?
Yeah. And then he goes and boxes Jake Paul and gets... This is so embarrassing. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
And you come in there out of shape, too. I don't know. I haven't seen the best shape he's been in. I don't know if he was actually in good shape at any point in the UFC.
He was always like that.
But it's like... Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
does not look like a fighter whatsoever.
No. He looks like
it looks like if I saw him, I'd go in the ring with him for sure.
Yeah, he also just looks like one of those like weird uncles that you're kind of like, I don't really want to talk to you at a family function. Like, you're just kind of odd over there.
Yeah, he's like a Chael Sonnen wannabe, I think.
Nobody competes with Chael. Chael's undefeated.
You know he lives in Westland, Oregon.
Oh yeah, the mean streets.
10 minutes from where I grew up.
Little mean streets of Westland, Oregon. Mike, did you know that he had a rough life where there was years where his dad didn't even make $100K?
Yeah.
Or barely made $100K?
Yeah.
That's funny. But if we'll move on here.
Chael.
We'll move on here to the next fight. I don't know how much you're like not, or how like much knowledge you have on these two fighters, but we got Rob Font against Adrian Yanez. It's gonna be the bantamweights. Throwing it down, we got Rob Font, who's 19-6 in the UFC, and we got Adrian Yanez, who's 16-3 with 10 KOs and 2 subs. He's 5-0 in the UFC, and he's on a 9-fight win streak right now. I think that
that'd be a good fight. I think.
Yeah, he's an insanely good boxer. He slick striking and fast hands.
Oh, he's hurt so bad. He's about out of there. This is it. This is it. Oh, my gosh. Chopped him right down. First round knockout for Adrian.
I think that they're setting him up to be like, one of the next contenders, especially with him fighting Rob Font so early in his career. Like, if I look at it, I mean, he's 29 years old, and for the UFC, that's young. I mean, going against Rob Font, 35 years old. Rob Font's got a little inch in height and an inch and a half in reach, but I don't know how much that'll really play into the fact that Adrian Yanez is a man on a mission, to say the least.
Yeah, I like Rob Font.
Yeah, he's
I've
one
always
of the
liked
better
him.
he's one of the better boxers in that division. So I think that'll be a really fun fight to see two, boxers that are just gonna stand up and basically it's gonna be a boxing match in the UFC and with smaller gloves. Like what's there not to like about that?
Yeah, that's what I like to see.
For our next fight,
Real quick,
Mhm.
can I give my predictions on the previous fights?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm going to go... I like your pick on the Adesanya fight. I think I'm going to go Adesanya KO round 2.
Okay.
I think if he's gonna have to get it done and get it done fast, and I think he knows that. So I think he's gonna go out there from the first second and try to get it done right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
First round is always kind of a warm-up round, feel each other out, and I think second round.
And
KO,
you think it's gonna be
Adesanya.
You think it's gonna be a KO or TKO?
KO.
Oh, he's going out.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. All right, now
Gilbert
give me your
Burns,
next one.
Jorge Masvidal. That is so tough. Masvidal is one of my favorite fighters ever, and I hate saying that Gilbert Burns is going to win because I want Masvidal to win, and so if I pick Gilbert Burns, it's like I wasn't riding with Masvidal the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna go Burns by decision.
Okay. I like that. I think that's a good prediction. Yeah, I was
Masvidal
debating.
goes out.
Yeah, I was debating between doing that, but I think I have a bit of decisions on here. Oh, actually, go ahead for the next fight, and then I have my prediction for the next fight.
For Rob Font and Yanez,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. Oh, that's a good card. There's some good fights on here for sure. I'm gonna go Rob Font. TKO round 3.
Okay. I have Adrian Yanez by split decision. So I think it's going to be real close, that entire fight. Because to me, it almost seems like they're basically the same fighter. Rob Font's just a little older and, is ranked higher. But I feel like stylistically, this fight is one of the more intriguing fights on this card for me.
Yeah, I could see that. The thing, I don't know. I wonder how many fights each of them have won, like, by submission. Because that's something I don't know.
We got Adrian Yanez with 2 submissions, and for Rob Font, I don't know if he's really like that. Rob Font, I guess he is 19-6, 8 by KO, 4 by submission, 7 by decision.
You say Font or Yanez 7
Font.
by decision?
Font 7 by decision. Yanez has 4 by decision. 10 KOs.
I'm
two
gonna go
submissions.
Font by decision. Actually, I'm not gonna go TKO.
Okay. And you think it's gonna be a unanimous majority split? What are we thinking?
Ooh. I'm gonna go Font split.
Okay.
I don't think it's gonna be a blowout.
So basically, we're sitting there
Obviously,
nail
Giannis is
biting
the fighter.
at the end of that to see who's
Yeah.
right. But that'll bring us to our next fight, which is also a very interesting fight. We got Kevin Holland taking on Santiago Ponzinibbio at welterweight. Kevin Holland's trying to make it into the rankings, and I think with a win over Santiago Ponzinibbio, he'll make it, in the fringe top, 15, 14, 13, one of those. And the same goes for Ponzinibbio. If he wins, I think he's right there too. Do you know much about? I mean, I'm sure Kevin Holland and.
Yeah. I don't know a whole bunch about Santiago.
Yeah, Santiago Ponzinibbio, he's 30-6. He's got 16 by knockout and 6 by submission. So he's sitting right around 24 finishes out of his 30 fights, or his 30 wins.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Santiago on this one.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Santiago TKO round 2.
I also want to let you know that in his 6 losses, 3 of them are by knockout. Kevin Holland is 23-9 with 13 wins by knockout, 6 by submission. He's got the 4 by decision. His 9 losses, 1 by knockout, 3 by submission, and 5 by decision. And then he's got 1 no contest. And if I'm correct, his loss by knockout was his last fight with Steven Wonderboy when the corner stopped it because he broke his hand. So he's never been finished. He's been dropped by a headbutt by Kyle Dawkins.
Yeah.
That happened. But other than that, he's never been finished.
I'm gonna stick with Santiago TKO round 2.
Okay, you want me to give you the tail of the tape? See if that'll change your mind. So we got Ponzinibbio, 36 years old. We got Kevin Holland, who's 30. Ponzinibbio's 6 foot, while Holland's 6'2". They both obviously weigh in at 170. Kevin Holland has an 81-inch reach to Santiago Ponzinibbio's 73-inch reach. So he's got an 8-inch reach advantage.
Yeah, I see that. 73-81.
So you're going Ponzinibbio by TKO?
Yeah, I am.
That's insane. I'm going to go with Kevin Holland by round 2 TKO to make that a little interesting. I was going to go round 1, but I was thinking, I'm like, Santiago Ponzinibbio, 30 wins and 6 losses. And he's lost, he took a 3-year layoff he was fighting through an injury, and he got surgery and stuff like that. And then in 2021, he lost 2 out of his 3 fights. And then in 2022, he lost 1 out of the 2. So it's crazy. It's crazy to think that he was 28-3 before he came back, and now he's 30-6.
Yeah, I know that prediction might be a little out there, but you got to have one that's a little out there out of your predictions,
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. I think Santiago Ponzinibbio is real good. I just get a little worried with him after I saw him fight the Leech, Li Jingliang, and get knocked, dropped.
I like Kevin Holland.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of his fights. I like Kevin Holland.
He's a superhero. Did you hear about when that dude was, I don't remember exactly where it was, but it was in Texas. I think it was in San Antonio. He stopped a robber from robbing this lady or something.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, the dude had a gun, and I guess he ran up on the guy, grabbed his wrist, and then punched the gun out of the dude's hand somehow. He said he punched the guy's wrist, and the gun just fell out of his hands. And then he said he put him in a rear naked choke, and his friend, I guess, was like Herb Dean, was like, he's not out, he's not out, he's not out, and
Yeah.
then like grabbed his arm and like shook it, and he's like, he's out. And then I guess he like let go, and he was like laying there, and the guy woke up, and he's like, what? And he's like, I guess Kevin Holland was like, don't get up or I'll beat your ass. And he's like, yes sir. Which I think's so funny. He's a real life superhero out here. But something that's happened this fight week, speaking of Kevin Holland, is he got into a little altercation with Jorge Masvidal in the hotel in Vegas.
I think I heard about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was really much. It's just, fighters in the same weight class just trying to get under each other's skin. I saw the video,
Yeah,
and
who hasn't?
it was Kevin Holland by himself in the lobby, and it was Jorge Masvidal and like 8 of his guys. And they're like holding
Yeah.
Kevin Holland back. I'm like, come on, like Kevin Holland's not going to do nothing. It's a 9-1.
Yeah. Who hasn't gotten into a squabble with Masvidal behind the scenes?
Everybody. Literally
Who'd
everybody.
he pieced somebody up? Not it was
You talking
I
about
can't remember
like
when or
when he was getting interviewed? And he like walked over and gave the guy a 3-piece and a soda?
yeah.
You're talking about Leon Edwards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was Leon, but
Let's talk about that opening sequence.
Maybe not. If you, hey, come over here, say it in my face, bro.
Yeah, Leon like they have some beef, and Leon walked by him and said something. That was so long ago. That's got to be like 4 years
Yeah.
ago, maybe 3. But he said something to him, and he's like, "Why don't you say that to my face?" And he like kept talking while he's walking away, and then Masvidal walks over there and gives him his signature. But with that being said, we'll move on to the last fight of the main card, where we got the young and upcoming 18-year-old Raul Rosas Jr. taking on Christian Rodriguez. Which Christian Rodriguez is also only 25 years old, which super young.
Raul is 18.
Yeah, he's 18 years old, the youngest UFC fighter on the roster, or the youngest UFC fighter to get a contract in history of the UFC. But he's 7-0, taking on
7-0,
Christian
huh?
Rodriguez, 8-1. Everyone's saying that this looks like a fight to like at one of those, like the UFC sets up fights for, up and coming people that aren't like.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, but the
You hear
dude's
that all the
8-1. Like, what do you mean you're set?
Yeah.
Like, the dude's got 2 more fights than Raul, and he's only has 1 loss. Like, it's not.
Yeah, like it for sure happens, but this isn't.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case. I saw a
One
TikTok
of
and
those
some guy was
cases.
talking about that, and I was like, I don't think this is the same. It's not like he's going against a guy that's like 7-5,
Yeah.
or like a guy that's like 15-10 or something. Just the fighters that stay on the UFC roster just to
Yeah.
build up and coming fighters' records. But I would love to hear your prediction, because mine's going to be a shocker to some people.
Do you have the stats of the finishes or decisions?
Yeah, so we got I'll go Christian Rodriguez first, and then I'll go over to Raul. So we got Christian Rodriguez, who's 8-1. He's got 3 knockouts and 4 submissions, so 1 decision, and he's 1-1 in the UFC. While Raul has 1 by knockout, 5 by submission, 1 by decision.
How many was knockout?
1.
5 by decision, huh?
5 by submission, 1 by decision.
Submission. That's tough. You want me to go first?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Raul knockout round 1.
Whoa. And are we talking like, is he standing up and knocks him out, or are we talking like he
Yeah.
takes him to the ground and he?
Standing up.
Okay, that's a hot take. I guess there's probably a lot of people that are like, oh, yeah, saying the same thing, but still a hot take. For me, I have Christian Rodriguez round 1 TKO. Because I feel like it seems more lately that these, you get like these big names, like these up and coming fighters, and then they'll fight people that they're supposed to beat, and then they don't. And then they lose, and they have to take a step back and figure out what's going on. And I feel like there's something about this fight. I don't know what it is. I think it might be that the 4.5-inch reach advantage, maybe, for me. I don't know exactly, but especially with him having 4 wins by submission and Christian Rodriguez, I feel like he would almost feel like he'd be able to defend the takedowns and defend getting submitted, which is what Raul's, obviously, his game plan probably is surrounded by, is him getting a submission finish. But I think Christian Rodriguez will spoil this, which I'm not saying that Raul's not going to have a good career in the UFC or anything like that. I just feel like I just have like a weird feeling that something crazy is going to happen. All right. Thank you guys all for watching. If you guys haven't already, if you guys could hit a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, we'd appreciate that very much. If you could also go to our social medias, all of our links will be, down in the description. We're trying to get more podcasts out, more frequently, but we've been having a lot of, stuff been going on. We've been super busy, but I think here in the near future we'll be able to start, pumping out podcasts more often. Yeah. Andy, thank you for coming on. It was super good. A little longer than was anticipated, but once you get talking, you just can't stop sometimes. So, yeah, again, thank you guys for watching. This is the Essential Sports Podcast, and we will see you later.